Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back into another edition of Jake's Takes. I am your host, Jake Massucci, and today we got another edition of the show. Today I got on my guy, Giovanni Moceri, and we're going to talk all things Super Bowl, from the Seahawks and their run here to the New England Patriots. We'll give our thoughts on their how they've gotten here. We'll give thoughts on kind of the matchup and what this Patriots need to exploit, what the Seahawks need to exploit, and then we'll give you our predictions for this Super Bowl. So, without further ado, I'm going to cue the music. All right, welcome back into another edition of Jake's Takes, and I am super excited for this one today. I got on my guy, Giovanni Moceri. He is back with us, and Giovanni, man, it's been a while. How you been?
And I've been good, focusing a lot more on the Oakland basketball side of things, but I always have my eyes on the NFL, and this is honestly like one of the first times I've been able to talk about it all season. So happy to branch out with you, Jake. And I always enjoy our Super Bowl shows.
For sure. I had to keep the tradition alive. So we're back at it. I think this is year 4 of this. So
I think so too. Yeah,
I'm super excited for this. So before we start, let's do quick big picture. Okay. So Seahawks versus Patriots. Okay. What's just one thing that jumps out? Like just hearing that.
Just rematch is the first word that comes to mind for that. Even though it's completely different. It's been so long ago. That previous Super Bowl, obviously the interception at the end that sealed it for the Patriots. But this is a completely different team, a completely different matchup. It's just the colors happen to be the same from that one. But already we're seeing every highlight and memory from that incredible Super Bowl. Overall, it was a great game down to the end. But it has nothing to do with this one. Only thing that are the same are probably the fans that experienced those Super Bowls before, but I can't help it. That's history, and history is coming back to me. So rematch is what comes to mind first.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I mean, that Super Bowl was so cool, man. You get the iconic interception that really changed everything. I mean, if that interception doesn't happen, Seattle is back-to-back champions. That defense goes down as probably the greatest defense of all time. I mean, so many things changed with that Super Bowl. It was a crazy Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it's just and now it's almost like, well, I guess you could say it's similar identity, where at least for the Seahawks, where it's like dominant team, defensive, like huge defensive focus, like best in the league defense. But the Patriots have a little bit of a different identity coming into this one, where I guess is underdog a misnomer for it, but like overachiever, like it's hard to kind of exactly describe what the Patriots are. I feel like overachiever is the best way to put it for them. So that's also how it kind of differentiates from their last matchup in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, completely fair. So let's jump right into these team stories and talk about it a little bit. So New England, okay? You get Drake Maye, he's your second-year quarterback. First of all, hire Mike Vrabel, which was an incredible hire for them and kind of changed the face of the team, really. So when you think New England Patriots throughout the whole year, what have been your thoughts with them?
So obviously, I mean, hiring Mike Vrabel was something that I'm just surprised didn't happen earlier. Like, it is such a perfect fit, and you completely forget about the one Drake Maye head coach Patriots team that didn't do anything. They got 4 wins. You just completely forget about it now because you hire the right guy and immediately get the results that you expected. It seemed to have gone perfectly as planned, and it's almost shocking until you remember it's the Patriots. Of course it works out, but it's something where that's a team and that's a coach where the tradition is so important. It feels like an old school college team where the tradition comes first, and there is truly a standard, and there is a true, like, I guess you could say, alumni base for that team that really kind of under the surface, I feel like has given this team strong, deeper roots than many other teams that have a first year head coach. It's as if Vrabel was there the whole time and never went to Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because it's like when you think about New England, it's like they're so ahead of schedule. Like I expected them to take a jump this year. I mean, I even kind of expected them to be a playoff team, but if you told me this team would be in the Super Bowl, I'd be like, "What the heck is wrong with you? No way they're in the Super Bowl before the year." And they've just been incredible. I mean, the way they built this team at the beginning of the year is just I mean, if you're a GM, like take notes. Like this is just crazy. The cap that I mean, I have the stat up right here. Let me pull up the stat. But when you're looking at like how much they spent, I believe it was 350 million in order to build up O-line, D-line, and really just dominated in the trenches. Like if you've watched them throughout the whole year, it's been defensive line, attack the quarterback, pressure. Like against Denver, Stidham had no time, man. He didn't have a chance in that game. And especially with the weather and a freaking snowstorm in the second half, which was crazy. But like the thing that changed the game was the D line. They got to the quarterback. They were able to create plays and force Stidham to fumble, and then leads to Drake Maye leading a drive to score. And that changed the game. It tied the game at 7 right before halftime. Then the snow monsoon hits. They're able to get the field goal early in the third quarter. Then they win that game. To be honest with you, I don't even know if they would have won that game without that snow monsoon. The Denver was
Yeah.
a really good football team, but just credit to New England and how they've built this team. That D line is just unbelievable.
Yeah, that D line, I would say, is one of this is the biggest reason they beat the Texans too. There was a reason there were so many turnovers by C.J. Stroud and just by the Texans in general. It was because there was no time to breathe. Stroud couldn't, he couldn't say his name in his head before he was already getting pressure and being forced to turn it over. And it's because I always go back and forth when it comes to the schedule they've played, and maybe we could branch it into this part of the Patriots story this season with that schedule and their playoff route. Is it because of who they faced, or did they make their opponents look that way? I think it's a little bit of both. In the play, I would say, in the Denver game, I would say it was more like the Patriots kind of forced themselves onto the Broncos, especially with the quarterback situation. But I think Stidham was more than capable of managing the game if he was, if Sean Payton would have kicked it early when the weather was good, and if he had a little bit more time, that I think they could have beaten the Patriots. But because it was them, that D line was the enforcer, enforced it to be that way. So that's kind of where I go back and forth. I mean, the schedule I'm looking at, the teams they faced all the way up until the Super Bowl, I think it's okay to say that it should give you concern that there is a competition gap between who they've played and who the Seahawks have played and how they've looked in either of those games. I can't get it out of my head.
Yeah, no, it's completely fair. I mean, think about the week 1. They lost to the Las Vegas Raiders, who now hold the number 1 pick in the draft. That's crazy, that they ended up 2-15 or whatever the record was, and they're going to be drafting Fernando Mendoza in the draft. It's just, it goes to show you never know. I mean, if you look after week 3, they're 1-2, and then they end the year at 14-3. Like, it's just absolutely crazy how much they just turned it on and figured it out beating these teams. I mean, the number that I was looking for, it's 364 million is what they spent on this team, which is a
Man.
crazy number in just one free agency, right? And the thing that's so great about them, and I was talking about the D line, the main guy is Milton Williams. I mean, this guy is just a ridiculous interior disruptor. It's crazy how good he is on the D line and in that D tackle position, where we haven't seen this much dominance from a D tackle since Aaron Donald. Like, it's flat out crazy some of the stuff he's doing. When he's on the field, their team has a 38.5% pressure rate, which is crazy. That's 5th in the NFL, and it's just all over the place. I talked about it in Denver. They were all over the quarterback throughout the whole game, which is just a crazy thing to it's crazy to what I'm trying to say is like when your defense and your D line is able to get to the quarterback at will like that, it's really hard for teams to beat you. And I feel like with New England, yes, there's schedule questions about them. But I think their D line is the separator where it's like, okay, if they're able to get Darnold in situations where it's very difficult for him, then they might have a chance to win this game.
I think so too. And when it comes to that schedule, it's like you use a schedule to kind of measure how good a team is based on the measurements taken from the teams that they face. But when it comes to this, it's like, is New England truly this fantastic Super Bowl winning team that would have gone to the Super Bowl in any year? Is that the case, or did they just skate by because of their schedule? Because of that, you have this gap, you have this gray area where you can't really know for sure.
Mhm.
But I do know this, if you have a D line like they do and you got a superstar on the inside, like you were mentioning, then it lends itself to be you're probably that team that was worthy to go to the Super Bowl just because the trenches are that important. Proximity to the ball is a thing. And
Yeah,
especially when you're on the inside, you control a lot more than you would imagine. And it's just because you're in the middle and on the camera, it's kind of hard to identify you in the scrum, but that is the one of the biggest pieces to have as a star on a defense and on a team. So it does lend himself to be like maybe they are worthy of this, and they just didn't get a chance to prove it to everybody else, until the Super Bowl. We'll see.
for sure. For sure. All right, let's switch into the Seahawks a little bit. So talk to me about what you've seen from Seattle throughout the year and how they've grown.
When it comes to the Seahawks, I've seen a chainsaw that hasn't turned off. I see a runaway chainsaw because now this is where they are different than the Patriots, where the Seahawks have played a ton of really good teams and have smoked some of these really good teams, and especially within division. Because I can't get the image out of my head of that game against the 49ers where the Shaheed kick return to start the game off. My God, brother, it was done literally at the first play. I don't think the Patriots have had games like that where it just stuns you. And yeah, the 49ers were injured, so maybe you can use the same schedule argument, but that was still a team that was in the playoffs, that was still fighting for a one seed, and
Yeah.
they destroy them. And it's something, and they had to play the Rams also 3 times this season. That was pretty clearly throughout the season the best team until Seattle
Mhm.
really started to kind of mount on top of them as far as the standings are concerned and prove to everybody that they are the best. So that's a team that has visually proven it to you statistically, and especially the way McDonald plays on the road. Their teams don't lose on the road, it feels like. The only time they did this season, I think, was at the Rams, but that was also a close game. So overall, I have a lot more proven confidence in this Seattle team. There's less mystery to it.
Yeah. No, it's completely fair. I mean, you're looking at Seattle, and one of the biggest advantages, like I talked about with the Patriots, like right off the jump, is the defensive front. They're one of the best teams against the run in the NFL. Um, and they can play multiple ways. That's the thing that's impressive about them. One possession you'll see zone coverage. Next possession you'll see man coverage. You have no idea what's coming with them. And that's what makes him so interesting. And that's why I've always loved Mike McDonald. I mean, when he was at Michigan as the defensive coordinator, they just had some unbelievable defenses and would run so many different types of defenses as well. You can tell he's just a teacher of the game and can put people in such great positions to succeed. And then Sam Darnold, man, like I think a lot of people were concerned hearing the oblique injury, like, oh, will he be able to move in the pocket? Will he be able to create plays? And then, like, the second play in the 49ers game, he throws a dart outside the pocket, like, running for his life, just a dart to Jackson Smith and Jigba down the field. And you're like, okay, he's fine. He's all right.
It might hurt,
So,
but he's
I mean,
probably fine.
he might be hurting, but he's probably fine. So, you're looking at it that way, and it's like, okay, they got a great offense. They use the run game so well with Kenneth Walker. He's always been one of the most sensational runners in when he was in college football, now in the NFL as well. Charbonnet, the big loss out for the year, but being able to still have Kenneth Walker gives me a ton of confidence with their O-line as well. And then also, you got the best special teams unit in the league. Like you talked about, Shaheed getting that return for a touchdown at the beginning of the game. Like, it's a true weapon for them, you know? They got great kickers. They're always in the right spots on the special teams. They get big returns. It's one of the best special teams units possible, and we saw it in the Indiana, Miami game. Like, that matters. If Indiana doesn't block that punt, they don't win the game, you know? So, it really does matter having a special teams unit like that. I think, like you're saying, if you're looking at it through your eyes, Seattle is clearly the best team. Um, I think the questions will be, can New England exploit enough stuff in order to win this game? But Seattle's so good, dude.
They are so good, and I like that you emphasize the special team side of things because that's what I feel like really separated them from the Rams as, let's just say, the top 2 teams in the NFC, because the Rams continuously throughout the season had special teams issues, and
Mhm.
it was always an Achilles heel. Oh, but it's just special teams, it's not a huge deal. Oh no, it can be a huge deal because when it comes to that, like, if Shaheed not only being able to score off of a punt or a kick return, but just to put your offense in that much better of a position, that happens. Like, think about it, that happens before the offense ever sees the field. That sets the stage. It's something that's so important. And Seattle really emphasizes that there are 3 phases to the game for a
Mhm.
reason. And to have that kind of advantage and to have that kind of confidence is like, you're not just like, I'm saying it like it's elementary school, but I mean it. Like, what the Patriots aren't just facing an offense and a defense, they are facing a third elite unit. That's a lot to take on when you're the underdog in this game. You don't get any breathing room against the Seahawks team.
For sure, for sure. So, let's focus on matchup a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions here. Focusing on New England. Okay, we talked about how both of us think when you're watching and in your eyes, like Seattle's a clear favorite here. So, how does New England win this game?
I think New England is going to. I mean, like, it's difficult. It really is, but I don't know if they have the firepower to be able to win a shootout. I mean, first and foremost, no special teams points. You can't let up or huge special teams plays. You can't let up big returns. You cannot let up anything close to the end zone before your defense goes on the field. That's number one, because I think if that happens, that's it. That's the margin of error you have against the Seahawks. So, first off, nothing allowed on special teams. Other than that, I don't think you're going to be able to contain Jackson Smith and Jigba. Nobody's been able to. So that shouldn't be your barometer to win. But I think you're going to have to force him to do everything, because I feel like you're going to be able to take away every other option. Kenneth Walker, first and foremost, and then Shaheed, as far as their offensive weapons, you're going to have to kind of cap them and make them one dimensional, like the
Yeah.
Patriots have won in previous seasons. You have to make them one dimensional, which is difficult against a multi-dimensional team. But the margin for error is so thin for them. But special teams in one dimension, I think, is their route to a 7th Lombardi.
Yeah. I really think, like, kind of to add on to your point, you're talking about Jackson Smith and Jake, but there's a crazy stat that I looked up. It's like 5% of his catches lead to an explosive play, which that number hasn't been done since Tyreek Hill in the year that the Chiefs won it all.
Mm.
And it's just a ridiculous number to have, like, he's been that dominant as a receiver throughout the whole year. So I agree. It's going to be very difficult to slow him down. But I feel like one of your key points has to be, okay, we have Christian Gonzalez, who's one of the best shutdown corners in the NFL. So let's focus on him guarding Ninjigba, see if he can guard him with one guy, you know, and if Ninjigba's killing us in the first half, then we adjust based off that, because I mean, I have loved Christian Gonzalez. When he got injured for the Patriots last year, it kind of derailed their season because they started out okay. And then he got injured and things kind of fell apart with Mayo and all of the stuff that happened there. But Christian Gonzalez is a really, really good corner. So I would like to see that matchup and see how things kind of shake up there. You're not going to completely shut down Jackson Smith and Jigba, like you're saying, but I think that matchup will be interesting. And then the other one that's probably the most important is stopping the run. You have such a gifted defensive line, and you've always been great at stopping the run. So can you force Kenneth Walker, who's one of the greatest rushers without great O-lines? Like, if you watch his Michigan State days, their O-line was not good. That dude carried them to victories just by himself. He can just find holes when they're not there. He's a really talented runner. So if you can take him out of the game, get him tired, force him to under 2.5 yards per carry, then the run game's gone. You got Darnold, and you're trusting your guy Gonzalez to try to stop Njigba. And then if that doesn't work, then you can kind of adjust off that. But stopping the run's kind of the key for me, and then figuring it out from there.
Now, I do want to point out in both of what we said, we did not mention Sam Darnold and having to rattle him and having to make him struggle.
True.
That's a huge credit to Darnold, because immediately last year, that would have been priority number one, is to make him make mistakes. But and maybe it's come up here and there throughout the season, but I don't think that's really an option or a narrative at this point. So I wanted to point that out, because I know a lot of people that's going to be their first reaction, but it hasn't really happened as much this season, or at least during this playoff run. So
it is true.
But to point that out, but it's tough, and especially for K9 and having the experience of doing it on his own. So let's say they do shut down Jackson Smith and Jigba, and they have to leave it to Kenneth Walker. Well, he's done it before, and usually when it comes to containing, comes to limiting the run game, is you make him go outside where everyone's going to be funneling and meeting him at the sideline. But Walker is really explosive getting around the edge.
Yeah,
his speed. A lot of his touchdowns I remember seeing against the 49ers were getting around the edge. So that's something that is dangerous too when it comes to stopping him. But flipping it over to the other side with the Patriots going up against that defense, I don't they have some talent, but I'm not into Diggs anymore. Matt Collins,
yep.
I know he's been hobbled a little bit. Hunter Henry is on the injury report too. The offensive weapons are just, they're okay. They don't match up to those of the Seahawks, and they're good for an explosive play here and there. But that offense, I feel like, is a lot easier to shut down for Seattle's defense than the other way around, and for the Patriots to shut down Seattle's offense. So I really feel like just the Patriots are up against it. They have to play flawless in this one.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I feel like the only way really for them to score at a decent clip would be to avoiding long third downs. And that leads to really establishing the run. You got a guy in Trayvon Henderson who's one of the best explosive runners in the NFL. He's had multiple gains of 50 plus. Here's the stat: 4 touchdowns, 50 plus yards, which is crazy. That's a lot. So you need to kind of establish short third downs for your young quarterback in order to maybe hit Diggs on a dig route or something like that in order to get the first down. Or if you're averaging more than 3 to 4 yards a carry, being able to run it on a 3rd and 3 is critical, And then also I think Drake Maye's really got to use his legs in this game. If he's able to run and create, if you're stuck in a 3rd and 7, you don't have somebody down the field, but you're able to create outside of the pocket, get those yards and get first downs. You saw Mahomes do that so much in the past, and it would just agonize defenses. That stuff kills defenses. Forcing Seattle's defense to stay on the field, be tired, be exhausted. That's the only way that the Patriots are going to be able to do it. You saw how difficult it was to do it against Denver. They couldn't do it against Denver. So that's why I'm really curious. Okay, can New England's offensive line put enough pressure on this stacked defensive line that Seattle has in order to average at least 3 yards a carry? That's all they need, because then you're putting Maye in situations where he actually can succeed. And especially for a young quarterback, those are things where it's like, okay, I need to not have 3rd and 10s. If you can give me 3rd and 5s, like that at least gives me a chance to do something.
Yeah, but then that goes to the point where if Seattle gets a big sack, that I mean, with that being the case, that kills the drive. All
Yep,
they like,
kills the drive.
and yeah, and the Patriots. I mean, like their O line is is capable, but like I said, margin for error. You let up one sack, then that defense is not really going to let you get that first down easily. But with Drake Maye's legs being an added factor to it, you may be able to get away with it a few times, but you cannot let that avalanche fall towards you when it comes to Seattle's D line. So that you got to watch for that too. Watch how they're able and see if they could get those 3rd and longs after a sack, or will it lead to a next play punt? That's going to be huge.
100%. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back at you guys with some more content. Be right back. All right. Welcome back into the show. And we're going to roll with some rapid fire questions and then we'll give you guys our prediction. So, okay. All right, Giovanni, let's do this as quick as we can. All right, like
Hit me,
a
Jake.
minute for each of these. All right, this would be like pardon. What would it be?
Pardon
The interruption. ESPN. Okay, that's what we're rolling with. Let's do it. So, first of all, O line, D line. Okay, who has the advantage in this game? Because they both have really good units on the front. So, who has the advantage? Seahawks or the Patriots?
I'll say the Seahawks. The Seahawks scare me a little bit more, especially they seem to have more guys. Honestly, if it's a really good D line and I don't know all the names, that almost makes them scarier than when you got like superstars like we were mentioning for the Patriots earlier. So I'll go Seahawks D line and their powerful rushing attack. I'll give it to their O line too. But I mean, small margins. It's not by much.
Yeah, for me, I got Patriots D line and then Seahawks O line. And Seahawks, they've built it through the run. They have an awesome outside running scheme. The Patriots, I just love Milton Williams. He's my guy, dude. He's the man. Like his pressure rate's ridiculous, and the way they played against Denver just impressed me so much. That defensive line. So that's why I'll go Patriots there. But it's pretty close. They both got great units on there. Okay, so quarterback. All right. Which quarterback, Sam Darnold or Drake Maye, has the biggest impact on this game?
I think Sam Darnold, because I trust the experience of just being in the league more. Like Drake Maye being so young makes me really nervous in this biggest of biggest spots where this is the toughest opponent he's seen. I think Darnold, he might throw one pick, but I would say it's more likely Drake Maye does. Like I don't think it's going to be a flawless game, but I think Darnold is going to do just enough to get them by, and I think Drake Maye is going to be the one to make a mistake.
Fair. I'm gonna go Drake Maye, and it's just because he can do so much with the football. Like I kind of fall in love with the talent level of quarterbacks, and he's got a ridiculous talent level. I don't think he has many great receiving weapons. I think his O line is kind of bolstered up from the fact that he's so good. So I think he has the biggest impact on this game, whether or not he can get out and make those plays. And I'm really dying for him to use his legs in this game. If he can get over 100 yards rushing, I think that's like the only way the Patriots win this game. So I think he'll have the biggest impact on this game. And I think if he gets over 100 yards rushing, it's going to be hard to beat them. Like
Drake Maye himself get 100 yards rushing?
Yes, himself. Yeah.
Bold.
It is bold, but I'm telling you, I think that's the key to winning this game for them. So I like that part for them. All right, first touchdown. Okay, let's give some people some money here. First touchdown.
So first touchdown. I mean, like in Jigba is what comes to mind first. Now, if it's like which team scores first, I'll say the Seahawks, just because of the special teams element, where you that's just another chance, another side of the ball that they have the talent level to score on. So Seahawks as a team, but I'll just say in Jigba, like he's gonna get loose, and I trust his route running.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think first drive, the Seahawks go right down the field. Smith-Njigba goes out at the 1-yard line. Kenneth Walker runs it in. So
Mm.
I got Kenneth Walker as my first touchdown, but then Njigba does the work, like you were saying. Okay. This one's a fun one. Fake punt. Which coach is more likely to do a fake punt in this game? I really want to see it. It'd be cool.
I feel like it would be Vrabel. I feel like out of between him and McDonald doesn't have necessarily like a craziness like to him, at least like vibes wise. But I feel like Vrabel might have enough of a screw loose to try that. I also think they'll be in a situation where they'll have to do it. So I'll say the Patriots.
Okay, I like it. I'm going Vrabel too. I think Vrabel, he's got that Belichick way of him, and I mean, like, I love these two coaches, dude. They're two of
It's a
my
good
favorite
matchup.
coaches in the NFL. It really is a cool matchup. But Vrabel's definitely got the screws loose enough to be like, let's just do a fake punt here. Why not? So yeah, I'd go Vrabel too. So all right, last one, Super Bowl MVP. Okay, who's your prediction for this one?
So I think this one will also be a wide receiver winning it. I think Njigba will get MVP because I don't think Darnold will have like a perfectly clean game. It might be where like Cooper Cup, luckily he's on the Seahawks team. I think it'll be a similar situation where Darnold might throw an interception that might kind of cost him the MVP, but I think Njigba is going to have enough of an impact to to earn it himself. And it's not unprecedented either. So I think it'll be the cool storyline of two Super Bowl MVP wide receivers on the same team for the Seahawks.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, this one's weird because for Seattle, it could be anyone. Like you could see it on the defensive end, like someone that shocks you, gets a ton of sacks or gets a ton of interceptions. I think Devin Witherspoon will be a guy to watch, the corner. He's a stud, dude. Like the way he gets in on runs, like he's always been a big hitter. When he was at Illinois, I think I saw a play where he like hit somebody so hard his helmet fell off, and I was
Mm,
like, "Holy cow! Like
those
this
are always
guy's
good highlights.
gonna be something." I know those are always great highlights. So, Witherspoon's one of my favorite guys on the defensive end. I think I think you're right in saying like Ninjigba's gonna have a big game. I feel like it's gonna be a running back though. Like if Seattle wins this game, they're going to be running the football all over the Patriots' throat, which that's a big key, like who can get the running edge at the beginning of the game. That was the key I was looking out for in the Indiana Miami game, like who can actually run down their throat and get there. So I'm looking at it. I would say Kenneth Walker if I'm looking at for Seattle. And then if the Patriots win this game, again, I talked about it. Drake May's got to have 100 yards rushing. That means he's probably got like 300 yards passing too. So it'd be Drake Maye if it was on the other side. So that would be my take there.
And I will say for Kenneth Walker, because I always like I try to future cast like a potential storyline, a potential headline, a graphic uploaded to Instagram where if Kenneth Walker doesn't get invited to the Heisman, but gets Super Bowl MVP. Like I could see the storyline, I could see the headline there, and also the two Super Bowl MVP wide receivers on the Seahawks team if Njigba wins it. Like sometimes a graphic's like cool enough where like it's not too crazy. I could see it, and I think it'll look pretty.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. All right. So last one. Okay. Super Bowl prediction here. I think I'm kind of like reading where you're headed. You really like
Mhm.
Seattle. You've talked high about Seattle, and you're not sure if the Patriots stand a chance. So I'm assuming you're saying Seattle, and like, how close is the game?
So I think it will be Seattle, and you read that right. I wear my opinions and my emotions on my sleeve. I don't hide it well, but I think Seahawks. I could see the Seahawks getting into the 30s. I think, and I am really emphasizing the special teams on this. That just makes the scoring so much easier where you have less distance to go. I think
Mhm.
it'll be Seattle a 31 to 21. Seahawks get revenge over the Patriots.
Like it. I like it. So for me, I've been back and forth. Okay. I really like don't know because when we're talking about coaches and we're talking about how much we like Mike McDonald and we like Mike Vrabel, like these guys are known for okay, you're down football. You're always converting third downs. You're making the plays. They're disciplined teams. They're always in the right spots, And when I look at Mike Vrabel, I literally see Bill Belichick. He's had these teams. He's had close opportunities. With Tennessee, he just never really had the talent. With New England, I think he went there and was like, hey, we're spending this amount of money because we want to build a team that wins right now. Right. And yes, this is like completely, I don't think they expected to be here year one. Right. Their defense, they redid the defense. Their quarterback's a young guy. It's his second year. I don't think people thought he'd make an MVP leap in his second year. Well, guess what? Here we are. They're in the Super Bowl. They got this great defense behind them. I'm going to go New England, and I don't know why, but I think Drake Maye is just going to have the game of his life here. Seattle's got such a great defense. On paper, everything says, oh, you got to pick Seattle in this game. But I'm telling you, the quarterback has always been the X factor when you're looking at these games. Patrick Mahomes was the X factor, right? Kansas City never had the team compared to the 49ers or compared to the other teams that they played in these games. And I always stuck with the quarterback. And I'm going to stay consistent. I'm sticking with Drake Maye. I love this guy. I think he can create plays when they're not there. I think the stuff that he's done with this team that has a decent O-line and decent weapons around it with a great defense, so the fact that he's already doing this is just unbelievable to me. I think he saw it last week and he had a disappointing performance. He had a disappointing performance the week before as well. And I think he's seeing this and he's like, man, it's time for me to make a play. It's time for me to shine. And I think he's going to get it done. Over 100 yards rushing, over 300 yards passing. I think New England squeak out on a game-winning field goal.
Yeah, I think he's going to need that 100 yards rushing. And I will say this, Drake Maye is going to be back. I have no doubts that he'll get another crack at this, even if he doesn't win it this time. God forbid his story turns into that of Joe Burrow or Dan Marino, where you get there early and you never go back again. I don't see that just with the Patriots organization. Regardless of how it goes, the Patriots will be fine. There'll be another parade in Boston, and we all just have to eat crow and just watch Boston fans be happy again, because I love that. It makes me sick.
No, I agree with that take. 100%. But I mean, some of the players they've had, like Tom Brady, you're looking at the Celtics, Larry Bird, Jason Tatum, all these guys, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett. They've had a million guys where there's some guys you love and some guys you hate. Drake Maye, for me, just comes in the love department. He's a stud, dude. I'm very excited for him. I think this is early. This is way earlier than everybody expected. But the fact that they are here is crazy, man. Crazy.
It really is, and it's really a disappointment for everyone in the AFC. It's like they let this guy through?
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, it's the first time the AFC's been open in a while. And guess what? Where's Josh Allen? Where's Lamar Jackson?
Oof.
They're both nowhere to be found, right? And these are the guys that, people were telling me, oh, they're just as good as Patrick Mahomes. Well, where are they, man? Where are they? They're not here, okay?
They're with fired coaches.
Exactly. They're with fired coaches trying to figure it out, man. Like, it's just disappointing if you're a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen guy, because now you got like 2 or 3 more years, man. Like, this is your chance. You changed coaches. This is the last straw that these organizations can possibly do. And this is my NFL take, where in a year where I haven't really locked in on the NFL. But guess what? I trust that Patrick Mahomes will be back here sooner than either of those two. Like, if people are scared of, like, if people think that, oh, the Bills and the Ravens will be fine next year, guess who's going to be back next year? Is Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Like, they're going to reload. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, can you imagine if Drake Maye wins MVP, then he's in the same conversation of MVP winners as those guys? Oh, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's going to hurt a lot of fan bases' hearts.
Hurts a lot of fan bases' hearts. Like, the fact that Drake Maye's in his second year and is here, and Josh Allen has never been there. Lamar Jackson has never been there. It's just crazy. It's craziness to me.
It's nuts. It takes a lot more than talent for the quarterback. The organization makes it work, and Patriots know how to make it work.
Yeah, no, I mean, credit to both of these organizations. Like the fact that Seattle's back in here, after all the ownership change that they're going through. I mean, I just saw that they're going to sell the team after this. And it's mostly because of the fact that their owner died in 2019, and the owner's sister, I think it is, has been running it for the past like 5 years. So they're selling the Trailblazers and the Seahawks. So credit to them for like being like, okay, we saw that we could win a little bit with Pete Carroll. We made playoff appearances, but they knew it was time to move on. They knew it was time to move on from the Geno experiment and this and build that team. And Mike McDonald's just done an incredible job. I think I saw like when they hired McDonald, this was 2 years ago now, but it was like right when they hired McDonald, McDonald said to the team in a team meeting, he was like, all right, guys, we're going to be here in the NFC championship game. And I'm going to be telling you, like, that we'll be the 1 seed. This place is going to be buzzing. It's going to be rolling, and we're going to be ready to go. And you guys got to be with me to the end of the line. And guess what? He was a year too early, and then the speech hit perfectly. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. I mean, it's an incredible speech that he had. Like his process-oriented style is just awesome. I'm a big fan of Mike McDonald, big fan of the Seahawks. I'm just very much in on Drake Maye. So very excited for the Super Bowl.
And yeah, and overall, it's two really good stories. Whoever wins, Boston and Patriots fans aside, they're both two incredible sports stories to go along with Indiana being national champions. Like it's a lot of great stuff going on in the sports world. So take it in. It's good stuff.
For sure. For sure. Well, Giovanni, that wraps up year 4 of our Super Bowl previews, man. Thanks for coming on, man. This is a lot of fun.
Of course, I always look forward to these. It gives me a chance to really dive into the NFL, and any conversation with you was one worth having. So thank you for having me back.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, that's going to wrap up the show for today. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, wherever you're at. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.